Hello and welcome to Sin and Steel, the heavy metal podcast. I'm your host, Serotonin, and we're joined by Rick and Stew of Melbourne's Benthams Head, who have just released their debut album, Blood, Salt and Ash, which is like this captivating album of progressive sludge with elements that traverse a range of heavy subgenres. So thank you for joining me, guys.
Anytime, man.
Of course.
This Getting straight into it, what can you tell us about Bentham's Head, your namesake, the formation, and what you guys have set out to do in your band?
So it all kind of started with Chris, the other guitarist. He met me while I was busking one day, and he was like, "Hey, man, I really want to start a band with you." And unfortunately, I get asked that like pretty much daily.
Yep.
So I was just like, yeah, man, cool. Send me a demo and we'll talk. Kind of trying to politely be like, I'm super not interested. but he sent a message like on Insta like the next day, and he's like, yeah, man, you're like sick guitarist. Like, I'd love to be in a band with you. Like, let's get something going. And I was like, yeah, man, like, send me something, send me anything, like to kind of show tangibly that you've got something real going on. Then he eventually was like, yeah, I've got these kind of like voice memo recordings of like random riffs, but they're not songs yet. If you could help me turn them into songs. I'm like, all right, I'm not really interested in being in a band, but I'll help you turn these into songs, and then you can find a band. And then we ended up meeting up like a couple of times, and he shows me these riffs, and I'm like, oh, these riffs are actually like low-key kind of fire. Maybe I do want to be in a band with you. And the two of us were working on stuff for a while, like, I don't know, like maybe a year, just kind of trucking away, trying to get something going. And we kept putting out ads for other band members, but we couldn't really get any traction. So we were just like, fuck it, man, we'll record it ourselves, and then hopefully we'll find people along the way. And like, as soon as we took that attitude of just like, it's getting done regardless of who's involved, but hopefully we'll find people. Like, that's when pieces started aligning. And then like Chris found Connor, and then Connor helped us find Stu. Then Stu helped us find Gabe. And it's kind of like the Avengers assembling a little bit. But like, we didn't really set out to do anything in particular. We were just like, we've got a bunch of cool riffs. Like, let's see what we can do with them.
Yep.
And then we kind of accidentally on purpose made an album.
Yeah.
If I remember that story correctly, Chris was also very hammered, and Rick was playing Tornado of Souls.
Nice.
So that's how we met. I was playing Tornado of Souls out the front of Heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Chris comes past like, skunkers are drunk. like, oh shit. That's not the recording. You're playing that. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my god, be in a band with me. I'm like, yes, random drunk stranger, I would love to. Please follow my Instagram and never talk to me again.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I'm glad he did message, like, because he followed up like a lot of times. It probably took me like 2 or 3 months before I ever like actually gave him any sort of serious consideration. It was like, he sent demos. He's like, did you listen to him yet? Like every 3 days. I'm like, nah. And then like when I finally did, I was like, oh man, you actually been sitting on some like really good stuff, and I've just been fucking around this whole time.
That's awesome.
It's just such a little engine that could story.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, so there's a message to everyone out there who's got a drunk friend who keeps trying to tell them to start a podcast or a project with them. They might have something good.
Yeah.
Give them a crack. You never know.
Yeah, check in. Apparently they had a good foundation there, so yeah, give it a go.
Indeed.
Right. And how did you get involved, Stu?
Well, So yeah, after it was the Rick and Chris show for a while, and then Chris found Connor at a bush doof. What? I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, neither.
But they were.
Yeah, Connor's like in the distance wearing like an Al Nathra hoodie at like a EDM fucking doof.
Yeah.
And Chris sees him from like across the street. He's like, "One of us." He goes,
like, I know that band.
Yeah.
Connor's like, no, you don't.
Amazing.
And somehow they didn't have any reception, so they had to like exchange details in like notes apps and stuff.
Yep.
And fortunately enough, Connor followed up after the festival, and he was brought into the fold. And I've known Connor for a long time.
Yeah.
We went to school together, and we've been going to metal shows for, I don't know, probably over a decade.
Yeah.
So I was an easy next choice.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we're like, Connor, do you know any drummers? And he's like, I do, actually, as it happens.
And I mean, drummers are like in Melbourne, you've got some incredible drummers, but they tend to be playing for like 50 different bands, and trying to find someone that fits can be very tricky.
Overbooked unicorns.
I feel like everyone's always looking for drummers.
Yeah, well, anyone listening, you can't have ours. we got them locked down.
No poaching.
Yeah, we got to put a ring on it as soon as we can.
Perfect. Now, so you guys have obviously been doing plenty of gigs, and you've been working on that new album for quite a while now. So for those who are yet to listen to the debut, how would you describe your music, and what can they expect from this release?
It's ADHD the musical.
Very diverse.
I don't know about that. What would I say? There's a lot of interesting ideas in there, and I think a little something for everyone.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's accurate.
But I think there's a really strong vision in all of the songs, and while there's the diversity within each song and across the album, I don't think it gets in the way of the narratives of the songs. So I think it's a real balance between that variety and focus.
Yeah, there's a real push and pull between Chris and I in the writing room, where I'm incredibly impatient and hate dwelling on, like, I just want everything to move from like the next section, like from where it is to the next section as soon as possible. I'm like, if I hear a riff more than twice, I'm like, all right, now I'm bored. Whereas Chris is very, very much loves to create like sonic textures and dwell and like sit in a moment for a second. So I think that a lot of the songs have this nice flow to them as a result of that, where like he wants to sit in a moment, and I want to get to the moment, the next moment as soon as possible. So we're creating this this tension where we're constantly building to like the next thing while sitting in what's already happening. And I think the result of that ended up being like a bunch of like really I guess diverse sounds on the record.
Yeah, definitely. How do you balance that? Like, do you have particular methods and way that you work when you do write to help with that?
Yeah, we just argue. We just keep arguing until someone gives up. But like, we do use like a kind of like a placeholder mindset sometimes, where it'll be like, you're allowed to say you don't like an idea, but we're not changing it until someone presents a different, better idea. So you can be like, the bridge to that section isn't really tickling me. They're like, all right, that's cool, but like until you've got an idea for us to try out to see how it's better, we're just gonna run with this one.
That's a good way to work it.
Yeah, so like and like we had lots of notes while we were writing sections where we were like, we're gonna come back to this at some point, because it's like, you know, it's 80% there, or it's like, you know, it's like fresh bread but we haven't got any butter yet, like so yeah, honestly we usually just argue. Like, we're like two brothers just bickering over, it's like, I was sitting here and then he like touched me like that, and then about Rick.
It's not fair.
And is there any particular inspirations that you have for what you write?
Yeah, so like each song on the record is based on a novel.
Yep.
And we've tried to musically kind of tell the story of each of those novels. So the band was kind of like sort of a book club for a while.
Yeah, cool.
We were all reading these different books to be like, all right, let's make sure that we're all writing the same songs. Like,
that's awesome.
Which ended up being really cool, especially when we started producing stuff, like actually getting into the recording room and like out of writing and into recording. There's a few different moments where we're like, all right, there's this section in this song where like one of my favorite moments is Isle of the Dead. There's a moment in the book where a guy's like tied to the mast of his ship and he's like getting like the shit whipped out of him.
Yeah.
So we're like, we put a bunch of just like everyone in the band did like their most god awful like anguished scream a couple of times, and then we've got that panned all around the place to kind of like during this sort of like wave. There's like this wave of double kick coming over, sort of representing like a rocky ocean, and then there's just like wailing and screaming in the background that like kind of emulates what it would be like to be like in the middle of nowhere. There's no one there to save you, and you're getting absolutely fucking tortured. I think the production elements like that were a lot more fun to do with the influence of the books being like, oh, we have like a clear image in mind that we're trying to evoke.
Yep. Somewhere to draw all that emotion and whatnot.
Yeah, it's like it's easier to try to sonically paint a picture if like you know what the image is in your mind.
Yeah.
So having the books there as kind of jumping off point really helped make some of those creative decisions.
That's really cool as well that everyone kind of got involved in reading them too, because if one person reads it, that's great. They can explain that story and what they're trying to do. But if everyone's reading it, everyone will have their own interpretations of that and their own perceptions of that to bring to that to bring to the table. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. Everyone threw in like little like small notes here and there, like while we were recording it, being like, oh, what if we remove this frequency so it sounds more hollow, or like just like small ideas like that are like they stack, accumulate, and then the final product ends up being like a lot more well-rounded, I think.
Yeah. I mean, while you're talking about production as well, so it was you who produced it, Rick, out of your studio, is that correct?
That's true.
Big Vibe Creative.
Yes. Yeah.
So what was that experience like?
It was a lot of fun. This is my first time producing a full album. I'm pretty pleased with the result. I think I don't know. It's just like I've been making music for a really long time, but nothing kind of this ambitious.
Yep.
So it was cool to be involved with other ambitious musicians who had a clear vision for like a final product to deliver to people. I don't really know what else to say about that, to be honest.
I can imagine that like it would be a very kind of unique experience. Not every band is going to have one of their band members being the person that's producing it, which would change the way you're working. You'd be working very closely together. Were there any challenges in that? And maybe Stu, you could talk on what's it like working with Rick, with him producing.
I didn't have any problems with it. I mean, the main thing I'd say is like, because we actually finished recording this album over a year ago, I think, a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like before we started playing shows. So yeah, over a year ago. And it was very much like, because, you know, like how Rick said earlier about how they just started doing stuff and hoped that people would come.
How am I going to get the bands to come? If you book them, they will come.
Yeah.
And the people did come. So it was very much like doing what we can with what we've got, and the process evolved as we got through it. And so there was a lot of learning going on.
Yep.
And it was very fun and in that way. And I don't know where I'm going with this.
I think I can pick up with that. I don't think wearing the producer hat kind of wasn't something that was like decided at the beginning. It wasn't like, oh, Rick's gonna be the one to produce it. It was just, we just started doing stuff, and then like that, and at the end of it, it's like, all right, time to dish out the credits. Who did what? It's like, well, technically all the production shit was Rick, so he's the producer. So it wasn't like it wasn't like I went in there trying to be the director there. I just happened to be in the seat at the right time.
Yeah, it all happened naturally, fell into place. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think you can't go into anything creative having like a plan that you have to stick to, because you'll learn through the process, and it would be silly not to adapt your approach with the new information you have in hand. So yeah, it was very organic in that way, and just doing the obvious thing and kind of stacking. There's like a very fast kind of learning cycle of every recording session with like have new experiences and ideas to like bring to the next session, and like our approach would adapt each time.
Yeah, we also had like a lot of fun experimenting with stuff too. So we'd be like in the room, be like, oh, I think this would sound really good, and then we'll try it, be like, that does sound really good. Keep that, and then make a note of it so that we can do the same thing on the next song. But then other times we'll try a thing, be like, I think it'd sound really cool if we did this, and then you record it, and you're like, that actually sounds like hot garbage. Immediately delete that, but then at the same time you make a note, like, don't try that ever again.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yeah, it was I definitely think having the other guys in the room who were feeding in that kind of creative energy made it like really natural process to get done.
Look, the outcome is fantastic too. I think what you guys have put together it's really well done. You can feel that there's a lot of love that's gone into it. And like we were saying before, there's that diversity in the different sounds and lots of different vibes, but not in a chaotic way, in a very focused and just well done way. How long did you say it ended up taking overall from like start to finish, putting this together?
It depends where you put the start flag.
It's up to you. It's your album.
I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
Because like we started recording stuff before we had a band.
Yep.
We literally just started trying to make an album because we couldn't start the band. We couldn't find members, and we were like sick of waiting around.
Yeah.
Time waits for no one. Like, I don't want to be like 38 and never have released an album.
Yep.
So yeah, we kind of just got to work, and it took like maybe a year and a half.
Yep.
Give or take. I don't actually know, to be honest. Like a year and a half maybe. To get the members.
Yep.
And then like another like a half a year to a year to actually like finish recording. And then we had to go get it mixed. But yeah, like we had the album fully finished recording before we played our first show. Because we wanted to make sure we had something there, and then some sort of a plan for like day one, like announce that we exist, and then have something to deliver shortly after, rather than being like in that purgatory of like new bands. Like, rock up on the scene, you're like, all right, we're gonna play shows for like 6 years and then maybe do an EP. Like, nah, I wanna come out and have something to show people immediately.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you have been playing some of this stuff live already, and you've done a few single releases, but you're doing an album launch show coming up in Melbourne. Would you like to share the details of that one?
Yeah, I can't remember the date. So
it's the 18th
of October.
It's Friday the 18th of October at Workers Club.
Yeah.
And,
ungodly stacked lineup as well. We got some of our favorite Melbourne bands. We just hit up all our favorite Melbourne bands, and we're like, hey, you guys want to play this show with us? And every single one of them said yes. So we're
Fuck
like,
yeah.
oh, fucking sick.
If you book them, they will come.
Who was on the bill with you again?
Carl, Treebeard, and Black Aleph.
Yeah, awesome. That'll be killer.
Yeah.
And
Perfect
so
for all
now,
the sludge and post heads.
yeah. So now you've achieved that goal. You've released that debut, and I mean, you want to obviously take all the time you can to eat up the reviews that you get, the joy you get from achieving that. But then what's next? Do you have another goal that you guys are looking forward to, either as a band or as individuals?
I'm definitely looking forward to. I don't think we'll do another album too soon.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely looking forward to going back to the writing process, because like I came into the fold where these songs were over half written.
Yeah.
You know, in more or less the final stages, and I'm excited to be involved from the start.
Yeah.
And have play a more key role in the shaping of the entire thing.
Awesome.
And I think, you know, it's the same for like, because like I was said, it was the Rick and Chris show for the first half. So I'm really excited to see what we'll come out with.
Yeah.
With like everyone being involved from an early stage.
Yeah, I very strongly agree with that as well. Like the contributions that everyone made, despite coming in pretty late to the process, like in my opinion, a big part of the reason that it like sounds as good as it does. It's like those it's like that final percent that pushes you over the edge from like okay to good and from good to great.
Yeah.
So I'm really keen to see how that plays out with everyone in the room right from the beginning instead of. So like we're probably going to have to work. The process for the next record is almost definitely going to be completely different.
Yep.
But I feel like that's part of what makes it exciting, because like doing this in the first place was completely different from anything I've done before, and so the next one should be. So I think that'll be fun. I'm also really keen to tour. So I want to tour absolutely everywhere. I've never toured overseas, so I'd love to get to like Japan or Indonesia. Or Thailand or something. Europe if we can be bothered.
Yep.
Brazil. No, that's how you know you made it, when you get comment sections that say "come to Brazil."
Yeah. Yeah, that's like metal capital, right, of the world. Like that's so they worship heavy metal there.
Yeah, the second I get one comment saying "come to Brazil" from someone who's actually in Brazil, I'm fucking going.
Awesome. Fuck yeah. And do you have any other upcoming gigs or events that you do want to promote?
I mean, that's basically it for this year. We've done a lot of shows this year, so it'll be nice to take a little breather and engage in the more creative side of things. I think we'll jump straight back into writing stuff once this show's behind us.
Nice. And finally, where can people find you and how can they show their support?
I think at the moment Bandcamp is your best spot. That's where we've got the album's out on CD and vinyl, or you can buy it digitally. I think we're restocking on some fresh shirts in the next couple of days.
Nice.
So that's your best way to show support. Also being nice to each other is good.
Be excellent to each other.
And come out to the show, 18th. Yeah,
18th.
Yeah. Pull up to that. It's a stacked bill. We're playing the whole album, possibly in song. No, not in order that it is on the album. In a different order that also slaps.
Yeah.
But we are playing the whole album.
Awesome.
Yes. So that'll be sick. There's one tune there that we'll play that night that we haven't played live yet. So anyone who's seen us a couple of times, they'll get something fresh.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah, we've been a little bit cheeky, and we kept refraining from playing this one song in particular, which is one of my favorites.
Which track is that?
That's Bangala.
Awesome.
Which has what we like to call the astral projection section.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of ambient metal, like
Yeah.
just nerdy as like spacey sort of bit.
Yeah.
Which I love. And it comes out of that into like real heavy bit. But yeah, we've refrained from playing that so far, so that so specifically at the album launch, we could have like one song at least that everyone who's been with us since the start will like get something new out of the show. So like there's even if you've been to shows in the past, like there's reason to come.
Yeah, it's smart. You got to hold out and hold on to something.
Yeah.
And yeah, that'll be our last show for the year. So
yeah, last show for the year. We don't know what our next gig plans are after that. So we might die.
Definitely last show.
Jeez. It's getting dark here.
Yeah, it might explode.
Who knows?
I do use the microwave a lot.
Once you play that last song that you haven't played yet, everything's just
Well, it's pretty heavy. Like we might accidentally make the venue crumble on top of us.
Yeah. Go full.
There's
full
a non-zero
death
chance of that.
Yeah. So wear a helmet. Come to the gig, wear a helmet for falling debris.
Nice. As always, for viewers, all the links will be in the description of the episode. All the tags will be made on social media so that you can jump straight across, give Bentham's Head a follow, give them a listen. And of course, if you're in Melbourne, make sure that you head down to the album launch at the Workers Club on the 18th of October. Thank you guys again. I really appreciate you joining me.
Thanks so much, yeah.
And sinners, until next time, stay metal.
Of course.